Kentucky's Democratic governor is discussing the growing socialist movement within the party. On Face the Nation Sunday, Andy Beshear suggested the reason Democrats are moving further to the left is due to frustration with the economy.
People are struggling. They're struggling because the cost of groceries is too high. The cost of gas is too high. It's too hard to see a doctor, and when you do, the cost of that is too high as well. Now, I believe socialism is a failed experiment, but I do believe that we need to get results for the American people. And I think when you look at Democratic governors, you see those results.
The latest CBS News poll found Democrats view socialism more favorably than capitalism, but as a whole, Americans still believe the free market system is working. CBS News' Anthony Salvanto breaks down the data.
Looking at the big picture, how Americans think the economy works. For starters, most think the free market is a good thing. That's number one. When we look at views of some of the labels and ideas that have been thrown around of late, socialism is net negative among Americans. Capitalism, relatively more favorable on that scale. But look within the Democrats, because so much of the debate around recent primaries, and I'll show you relatively more favorable, not all Democrats, but a majority favorable on the idea of socialism and less so on capitalism. Now, why is that? Partly is you see, including among all Americans, a lot of folks who feel like it's harder to get ahead. In fact, a lot of younger people are more likely to say that. So what else are the Democrats debating as these primaries go forward? One of those things is the progressive label as well. So I'm going to show you that because the Democrats say they want about even numbers, that the party is either as progressive as they'd like to be or not progressive enough for them. And the other part is who would make politics better in office? Well, 75% of Democrats say politics would be better with more young people in office, and a slight majority of independents say the same thing. All of that is part of the dynamic that's going on in the primaries as we move forward, choosing candidates to face off in November. I'm Anthony Salvanto with the latest from the CBS News poll.
All right, Anthony, thanks. Let's bring in CBS News political director Finn Gómez. So we heard Governor Beshear there attribute this to frustrations with the economy. Why then is that only happening more on the left?
I talked to some progressive leaders earlier today, and they basically say it's this. It's because many Democratic voters, in particular, the younger Gen Z voters, don't believe the current economic system is working for them. Full stop. They're dealing with high housing. You're talking about healthcare costs, grocery costs. And I think that especially now, those younger voters are looking for answers to their economic frustration, and that they see that there's, the socialism or democratic socialists, for example, or even the progressive movement are basically saying now, look, we're offering solutions to your economic pain. We have policies like universal health care, affordable housing, and, yes, taxing more, but taxing the upper class. And I think right now, especially because of the moment that we're in, that a lot of these younger generations have this economic pain and frustration, it's being met with some solutions, frankly, by those on the left. I think in the progressive leaders I spoke to this morning, they told me, look, the other side, even the centrists in our party, they don't have these answers. And all the Republicans have, they say, is to call us names and say we're communists, and they say they're not. But right now, because of that pain, I think a lot of these younger voters especially are turning to that.
More to come on that, but we also have some key primaries in Florida, Alaska, and Wyoming tomorrow. So what are you watching for?
I'm particularly watching Florida and Alaska. In Florida, there's some key gubernatorial races, including Byron Donalds, who's especially really I think the front runner in that race. He's going to be facing David Jolly, who's most likely going to be facing David Jolly, who's the Democrat running in that race. He's a former Republican congressman who pivoted and is now a Democrat. Democrats feel hopeful about that, but most polls show that Donalds is up by 5 or 6, 7 points or something like that in the general election. I'm also watching the key Senate race there, Alex Finman. He is former NSC, former colonel who's running as a Democrat in that race. Again, the makeup is really good for Republicans in Florida, especially over the last couple cycles that have trended more Republican. And I'm also watching, the big one for me, Lindsay, is flat out the Alaska Senate race, where Mary Peltola is running in one of those key matchups against Daniel Sullivan, the Republican incumbent. Democrats feel that this is one of their top targets to flip, and there's been recent polling that shows that that is the case. Alaska has a unique system. The top four head to the general election, where then that's going to be decided by RCV voting. And Democrats feel very strongly about this state, where they went for Trump by 14 points in 2024. Lindsay.
Finn Gómez, thanks so much.